Hello everyone and welcome to another video lesson for PTE Academic with Swish English. I am your teacher and host today, Scott, and I look forward to going through this video lesson with you today. So I have been a teacher with Swish English for the past 6 months, and I have been developing their videos and their content aimed at helping you guys pass the PTE examination. I have been an ESL teacher for the past 3.5 years, having taught in various countries such as Vietnam, China, Australia, and now remotely based back in my home country of Ireland with Swish English. I've had a lot of examination preparation teaching practice done in my time as a teacher. I spent a lot of time teaching IELTS, sometimes teaching the Cambridge suite of examinations, FCE and CAE notably, as well as teaching EAP, English for Academic Purposes, at a university in China. And now I am very happy to be bringing my academic expertise to you at Swish English for the PTE examination. Well, that's enough about me. I wonder where you are logging in today watching this video and what brings you to Swish English for PTE. Why are you doing the PTE examination? Well, I'm sure it's for either study purposes or work purposes in an English speaking country, and I wish you the best of luck with your career once you've got the PTE examination under your belt. So anyway, let's get on to the lesson today. We're going to do an episodic video on the PTE listening academic. We're going to focus on a listening lesson today. Hopefully get you guys up to speed and up to scratch with some of your listening skills for a listening prompt. All right, let's get into the meat of the video. So, our lesson aims today are as follows. Today, we're going to specify a PTE example for select missing words. So, let's have a look about how we're going to go about that. First of all, we're going to have a look at the components of the task. Exactly what is select missing words in terms of what the exercise is, what you have to do, how long it is, what are your options, etc., etc. The technical components of this prompt are going to be divulged in this video. We're then going to go through a 3-step process for you to get a successful answer. These steps will be in chronological order, and you should use this on the day of the exam to hopefully get you that score and those points that you want. We're then going to go through some listening tips. These tips will simultaneously be specific for select missing words. They'll also be general in their scope as well, and they can be applied to other listening tasks as well as anything else you do listening related in your English studies. Also, throughout the video, we're going to go through a variety of practice prompts so you can put into practice some of the skills and techniques we're going to go through today as part of our strategy. There will be 3 prompts in total. We're going to scaffold and build up. I'm going to lead you by the hand for the first one and go through the strategies, and hopefully by the third one I can let you loose and you can do it like you are doing the real PTE examination. You'll know the strategies, you'll know the tips, and you'll be able to do them automatically. And also hopefully we'll see an improvement in your performance as you go through this video today. So let's have a look now through some of the overviews of the listening test. First of all, we're going to go through the structure. So here is a table showing you the structure of the listening test. As you can see, it's a fairly long part of the test at 45 to 57 minutes. It is the longest part of the PTE examination, and it is split into 8 sections. Part 1, summarize spoken text. Part 2, multiple choice, choose multiple answer, fill in the blanks, highlight correct summary. Multiple choice, choose single answer, select missing word, which we're looking at today, highlight incorrect words, and write from dictation. So select missing word is the stick part of this test, and they go through in this in chronological order, so you are near the end when you reach this part. As you can see, there are usually 2 to 3 items for select missing word in the exam. Now let's have a look at some of the components within that structure for the test. This table shows the question type, the task, what is its test, and the prompt length. So obviously the other videos are going to go through the specific exercise we're looking at. We're just going to look now at what it says for select missing word, in which you have to listen to the recording and choose the most appropriate option from the list. You are assessed primarily on your listening, and you circle the answer. There's no real reading involved apart from obviously analyzing the question and the answer options, which we'll get into in the strategy. And the prompt length will be between 20 and 70 seconds. That's for the recording. So shorter than some, but obviously still an academic lecture or a report in its nature. All right, let's go into a bit more detail about that task, what that video showed. So the task evaluates your listening skills and entails examination participants to use contextual and grammatical cues to predict and identify what a narrator will say, involving a single word or a short series of words. So it's worth noting that in this examination itself, for this particular task, even though the task itself states select missing word, there may be more than one word. It could be a short phrase or it could be a single word. So you're not just looking for a single word, you obviously are maybe looking for a combination of words. And that makes the task a bit more difficult when you have more than one word to choose from versus just one word. How long do you have to complete the task? Well, each task in the listening part of the test is approximately 2 minutes. This is if you divide all the time for all the tasks and divvy it out amongst them all. And your recommended time, you have approximately 2 minutes per task for every section of the test. Obviously, some may be a bit longer, some may be a bit shorter. This is the average. And how many of these prompts do you have to complete? 2 to 3 of select missing word task prompts to do on the day of the exam. Let's now get into the meat of our video and go through our strategical process for this listening task. It's what you're here for today, is how to do select missing word. All right, so we divided the strategy for this task into 3 steps. Let's go through the 3 steps as an overall slide to begin with, and then we're going to go through the single steps in each part of the prompt as we apply them to our strategy. So step 1. Like most listening tasks, you have some time at the beginning to do some groundwork. In the 7 seconds before the listening begins, highlight what the question topic is, skim the response options, and draw upon your background knowledge to help you focus your listening and predict your answer. Moving on then to step 2, which is done during the listening. Listen carefully and focus your attention diligently on what is being mentioned. Make a mental note of the gist, any repeated words, and other important content words. Deduce the meaning of any unknown words through context, and that is key, obviously, for this task as well as any listening task. Finally, step 3, which is done during the listening and also post-listening. Remain aware of the audio progress indicator. As the recording comes to its conclusion, focus your listening carefully while considering all of your response options, allowing you to select your response with the most accuracy. So that's the overview of the strategy. Let's now look at those strategies one by one as we apply it to our first mock prompt today. So here you can see an example question for select missing word. You have your question heading and then you have your answer options. So pretty bare bones. Let's get into the analysis. So the first step, as we said, is that you have 7 seconds before the listening begins. In that time, you should highlight what the question topic is, skim the response options, and draw upon your background knowledge to help you focus your listening and predict your answer. Let's have a look at those steps in step 1 with our first prompt. So the first thing I want you to do is have a look at the question prompt. Can you identify the question topic within that prompt? Quickly skim, quickly scan. Once you've found it, let's move on. Also, have a look now at the answer options. Is there anything similar or different about the answer options? Are they similar in terms of their meaning and understanding? What about the words? What about the grammar? Is there anything that you notice is similar or different with these answer options? And also, can you draw on any background information regarding that question topic or any information with the answer options? You shouldn't spend too much time on this, but sometimes it is useful for you to focus in your listening if you have an understanding of the topic itself. You may then be looking out for something that confirms that background knowledge or something that refutes it. So it can be a useful prediction tool. All right, the question topic is milk alternatives. As you can see, the first sentence of this question prompt is very, very important to look at. It gives you the question topic. You will hear a recording about blank. The blank in this case is the question topic, which is milk alternatives. This is what we're going to be listening out for today, milk alternatives. Also, have a look. Again, what's similar and different about the answer options? Answer A, many more problems. Answer B, a lot of ups and downs. C, numerous interactions. D, wide range of issues. So all of these answer options contain a quantifier: many, a lot, numerous, and wide. So you're looking for something in large content. What is that something in large content? Also look at the keywords: problems, ups and downs, issues. So we're looking for problems, many problems, issues. What's different about these keywords and what is similar? How can we deduce that via our listening? Okay. Don't forget that number C seems to have the word interactions, which is different to issues, ups and downs, and problems slightly in its vocabulary. Is that significant? Listen out for that during your listening. Finally, can you draw on any of that background knowledge? What do you know about milk alternatives? Maybe you use milk alternatives, maybe you're a big proponent of them, maybe you're an advocate of them, maybe you actually detest them, you think they're disgusting, etc. I don't know, but we're talking about milk alternatives. Think about what you know about that as we move on to our second step. So step two, during the listening, during the recording, listen carefully and focus your attention diligently on what is being mentioned. Make a mental note of the gist, any repeated words, and other important content words. Deduce the meaning of any unknown words through the context of this. Now let's start applying those strategies to our first prompt. So once again, we know that our topic is milk alternatives. You want to listen out for when milk alternatives is mentioned, where it is mentioned, because obviously it being the topic, it more than likely will be the topic sentence. How will it appear then throughout the listening? After all, it is our key idea. Also, listen out for any keywords and repeated words. Don't forget that the keywords and repeated words will obviously contain most of the contextual clues of this prompt, and therefore they will give you good clues and good understanding of what the answer may be. So you need to listen out for what the keywords are and what is being mentioned around them, because that will hopefully confirm via the overall context of the passage you listen to what the answer may be at the end. Repeated words obviously may come up repeatedly for a variety of reasons. Most likely they are highly important. So take a mental note of what any of these repeated words were. Also, and very important to this text is you will come across some words that you unlikely do not know the meaning of. Do not panic. It's going to happen in PTE listening, not just for select missing word, but all of the other task prompts. If you panic, obviously you're going to be forgetting about what you're doing, and that is listening out for your contextual clues, your main ideas, and your topic. If you're focused on a word that you're unsure of and trying to fret about what it means, you're going to miss out on doing this task properly. So don't worry if you hear it. What you should do is obviously deduce what it means through the context of the surrounding sentences and ideas. That is obviously the best thing to do, because don't forget that single vocabulary words aren't the most important thing to take note of. You are taking note of the ideas and repeated words, obviously. So if you can guess what that unknown word means through the context, then you are on your way to understanding what that word means and still picking up its meaning in relation possibly to the answer at the very end. So deduce through context. Finally, when we do the listening this time, please do not answer the question. We are simply extracting our main ideas, our keywords, and also any unknown vocabulary through this listening task. Now, I'm obviously aware that you can only do the listening once in the main exam, but we're doing practice for this prompt. So we're going to listen to it twice for this first task prompt. Do not answer the question this time. Simply pick up on the main ideas, keywords, as well as the topic as you listen. Get an understanding of what the passage was trying to say. So obviously on the real day of the examination, you will be doing this simultaneously as you answer, but we're going to do a bit more thorough practice this time of you just getting understanding of what the task is, what sort of words you'll hear, the flow of the lecture, etc., etc. So please don't answer. Please do as I have stated in this part. All right. Now, what I want you to do is listen to the recording. Remember, you're listening out for how that key topic of milk alternatives is mentioned in the topic, and what means is it mentioned. Also, what supporting points back up this main topic. What keywords can you hear? Are there any repeated words as you hear? So obviously in the day of the exam, you will be doing this mentally because you want to make sure you're listening primarily and not writing. But feel free for this task now to write down any keywords that you hear, just to practice extracting that key information. I will now play the recording.
Alternative milks made from plants like soya or almonds are becoming increasingly popular and are in direct competition with dairy milk. These new products are often vegan friendly and can be suitable for people who are allergic to milk or intolerant of it. However, this rise of alternative milks may be just the latest trend in the human race's extensive relationship with animal milk. This relationship dates back thousands of years and has had beep.
Fantastic beep. Loved it. All right, you've listened. Now think about these questions before we move on. Did you get a sense of the recording gist? Obviously, we were talking about milk alternatives, but in what means was milk alternatives mentioned in the passage? Also, what key content words did you pick up on? Did you note these down? Obviously, note them down as part of this task, but you want to make sure that you mentally are aware of them as you move on to your question analysis. And then, were there any words that were repeated? Why were they repeated? And in what means were they repeated? All right, so here are some of the, basically this is a summarized transcript of the recording with all the key content words. So you will not be expected to take a note of every single one of these in the day of the exam, but obviously the more you can get, the better. But don't panic if obviously you didn't get as many words as I have noted down here on this slide. So let's go through the words that are important. Alternative milks, increasingly popular. Competition, dairy milk, vegan friendly, suitable, allergic, intolerant milk, alternative milks, trend in the human races, relationship, animal milk, thousands of years. So, what is the gist of the recording from these words? Well, obviously, it's talking about how alternative milks are becoming increasingly popular and are obviously competing against dairy milk, especially those who are intolerant to dairy or are vegan. Also, how the human race's relationship with milks has changed has differed over thousands of years. That's the gist of the recording. What were the key content words that you pick on? Well, obviously, we have dairy, we have vegan, we have relationship, we have thousands of years, increasingly popular. What words were repeated? Well, milk was repeated many times. Alternative milk, dairy milk, alternative milks twice, animal milk as well. So why were these words repeated and what meaning can you take from that? So that's the first part of the listening recording done. Now we're going to move on to step 3. So remain aware of the audio progress indicator. As the recording comes to its conclusion, focus your listening carefully while considering all of your response options, allowing you to select your response with the most accuracy. So let's now apply that to our listening. Here we have once again the question prompt. I've also left the keywords here for you to aid you in your answering and the 4 answer options. So what I want you to do now is before we listen again, I want you to assess the answer options with the keywords that have been noted. Is there anything with the keywords in red that might correlate with the 4 answer options? Are you now able to answer that based on your first listening? If so, great. If not, then let's see if we can contextualize those keywords while we listen again and see if we can decide which answer is correct. Think about which answer makes the most sense in context and also grammatically. Are there any that don't work grammatically? Are there any that don't work well in context? So keep in mind that the answers for this task itself either may not work grammatically or they may not work in context. So it's obviously a good idea for you to assess both of these in your answer analysis when you're selecting your answer. Does it work in terms of grammar? What mistakes might there be when we join on the two parts of the sentence in what you denoted in the listening and the answer itself? And also, do any just not make sense based on your listening? So let's now get into the listening section again. I want you to listen to the recording again, see if you can correlate these keywords with the answers. Also pay attention to the very end of the sentence. This is very important because this is where you will automatically join on with the remaining sentence. So on the day of the exam, you will see an audio indicator which will tick down. So as the indicator comes towards the end, really focus in your listening because obviously a key part of the listening is joining on the missing words to the last sentence in the recording. Contextual clues and grammatic clues are important, but this is extremely important. So please pay attention to the end of the recording so you can listen on. Let's play it one more time and see if we can really hammer in on what that answer is.
Alternative milks made from plants like soya or almonds are becoming increasingly popular and are in direct competition with dairy milk. These new products are often vegan friendly and can be suitable for people who are allergic to milk or intolerant of it. However, this rise of alternative milks may be just the latest trend in the human race's extensive relationship with animal milk. This relationship dates back thousands of years and has had beep.
All right, now let's get into the analysis about what that question was. So hopefully you managed to pick up on what the keywords were at the very end. See if you can answer the question now based on your second listening. Did you hear the end sentence? Which makes sense grammatically, which makes sense in context. All right, so the answer was B. A lot of ups and downs. Hopefully you got that correct. Let's now get into our analysis about why that answer was correct. So I've included the transcript here of the recording itself so you can simultaneously read and analyze your own answer against the correct answer, that is B. So let's read answer B with the last sentence of the recording. This relationship dates back thousands of years and it has had a lot of ups and downs. So it does work grammatically. We can join on the sentence in our recording with the missing answer. They connect nicely. It also makes sense in context with the gist. Obviously, we're talking about the problems that people have had with the use of milk throughout thousands of years. It has a lot of ups and downs. There's been great moments and there has been bad moments. So it works grammatically in context. It works grammatically and in context with the listening. All right. Now let's see about why answer A was not correct. So even though A does work grammatically when joined, this relationship dates back thousands of years and it has had many more problems. It also makes sense in context with the gist, but there's just an awkward use of the word more. Has many more problems. We're talking about the past here. More would suggest that there's going to be more problems to come. So there's a bit of a grammatical tense mistake there. We wouldn't say many more problems about something in the past. We would say many more about stuff that's to come in the future. So even though it works grammatically when joined, the use of the quantifier more just really throws off the sentence and it's kind of awkward. It doesn't really work because of that. What about C? Well, even though C also works grammatically well when joined, this relationship dates back thousands of years and it has had numerous interactions. It does also somewhat make sense in context with the gist. There have been interactions between people and their use of milk over thousands of years. Can we really say that a relationship has had interactions? Don't forget that the main noun of this statement is relationship. This relationship dates back thousands of years and it has had numerous interactions. Can a relationship have interactions? No, because it's not a person, it's not a living animal or a thing. It's an idea. An idea cannot have an interaction, so therefore it doesn't really work because of that word interactions in it. What about D? Well, D does make sense in the context of the gist. There have been a wide range of issues that have happened because of the use of people with animal milks and plant milks throughout thousands of years. However, it does not work grammatically. Let's read the sentence. This relationship dates back thousands of years and it has had wide range of issues. What's missing? The article a. We need to have the article a in this case. We would say this relationship dates back thousands of years as it has had a wide range of issues. The fact that it is missing means there is a grammatical clue there to it not working, therefore eliminating it as a correct answer. So once again, B is correct. Hopefully you are satisfied about why it is correct, and A, C, and D are not correct via a variety of reasons, contextual and grammatical. Hopefully you got that answer correct. Let's go through some tips for the task before we move on to our second and third prompts as part of our video today. So tip number one, while listening, remain aware of the audio indicator so that you know when the audio is coming to end. Now we haven't been using that in this video today, but on the day of the PTE examination, you will see a little line that's going across from left to right, showing you the progress of the audio. Obviously, as that comes near to the end is when you really should be focusing your listening because that indicates the last sentence is coming up, which will directly join on to the four answer options, therefore allowing you to pick up on those essential grammatical clues. So please pay attention to that audio indicator. As I said, pay a lot of attention to the concluding part of the recording, as this section is directly relevant to the answer. It joins on, so you'll have both the contextual and grammatical clues to pick up on. The most important part to listen to. As I've also said, do not stress over unfamiliar words. Try to gain an understanding of their meaning through context, but do not spend much time in this. It is academic in its nature. No one knows everything about every academic subject, so therefore it's really important that you do not fret over the word or word that you are definitely not going to understand. See if you can deduce its meaning through the wider contextual understanding and reading of what you heard and read in the answers. Also, because this is not a negative marking question, you do not need to be wary about submitting a wrong answer. Do not leave any question unanswered. If unsure, use your best judgment. If you have got a hunch, go for the hunch. If you're just blindly guessing, then also do it too. But make sure you obviously circle any answer as your correct, as your submitted statement. Make sure you got nothing to lose. And of course, do as much listening in your own time. Keep the material as academic as possible to mimic the PTE recordings. Highlight your keywords and learn new vocabulary. Assess the main theme and the supporting details. So, obviously, the more reading and listening you do around various academic subjects, the more you'll improve your understanding of various academic themes, as well as improve your vocabulary bank. Also, as well as doing PTE style activities, or direct PTE activities for this test, what you can do with your friends sometime is you can actually very easily create these style of activities in your own time. Either you can do it with a friend. What you could do is find a newspaper article, a journal, or an academic text of some sort, a report, and you could read it to your friend. Then stop just before the last sentence. Make your see if your friend or yourself can guess what is going to come next. If that's too difficult, write down some potential options and do that practice in your own time. This will allow you obviously to hone in on your listening skills as well as accentuate your own prediction skills in your own time. So a very easy exercise to create in your own time that makes it like the PTE exam. So I recommend you do that too. All right, that's the tips for the task. Let's now move on to our second task prompt today. So we got a new question. Let's go through it in a step-by-step process. Remember, step one, in the 7 seconds before the listening begins, highlight what the question topic is, skim the response options, and draw upon your background knowledge to help you focus your listening and predict your answer. The first thing you're doing is establishing what the question topic is. The second thing you're doing is quickly skimming and scanning over the questions themselves, the answers themselves, and seeing what you know about them. Is there anything that stands out to you, anything different, anything similar? And also, once you've obviously established that question topic and are aware of your answer, see if you have any prior understanding about what the topic is. So, hopefully you've read it. Topic this day for this prompt is acid rain. You're going to be listening about acid rain in this process. What do you know about acid rain? Do you have any background knowledge about it? If so, great. Also, what's similar and different about the answer options? Have a look through A, B, C, and D. Is there anything about those answers which stand out to you? Is there anything about them which don't? So A will become a nuisance in the future. B, therefore create the damaging rain. C, then fall as rain, snow, or hail. D, produce toxic precipitations. I have some ideas about what's similar about them and some ideas about what is different, but I want to know what you understand about those. All right, now that we've done the pre-listening section, let's move on to the listening section itself. So let's do a look at step two. During the recording, listen carefully and focus your attention diligently on what is being mentioned. Make a mental note of the gist, any repeated words, and other important content words. Deduce the meaning of any unknown words through context. So let's have a think about what we're going to be assessing for our step two. What are the topic? What are the keywords? What are the repeated words? We know our topic is acid rain. From the listening recording can you deduce about the topic about acid rain? Are there any keywords that you know are related to that topic? Are there any words that are repeated? If so, why are they repeated? Can that be a contextual clue for your answer? Deduce the meaning of any unknown words through context. Remember, do not panic about any unknown words. See what they mean via the sentence they're contained in or through that topical and keyword understanding which you have been listening out for. As I also said, pay attention to the audio indicators so you know when the audio is about to come to an end and the missing words are coming up. Now, just so you know, obviously there isn't an audio indicator in this task itself, but the listening record is about 70 seconds maximum. So listen out maybe about, see if you can obviously count your time, and obviously it's quite hard to do while you're listening, but mentally just have a little checkpoint about when it's coming to an end. Think about when you've hit 40, 50, 60 seconds, etc., and then you know the end is coming. All right, now that you've done that, we are going to do the listening. So once again, make sure you are acquainted with the topic question, and also about those keywords. What do you know about that from your background understanding and from your own analyzation of both the topic and the answers? Let's now listen to the recording. Remember, try not to write down your notes. After all, you want to ensure that you're listening primarily. Take a mental note of all those details in your head. I will now play the recording.
In the not too distant past, acid rain stripped forests bare in Europe, wiped out life in lakes across Canada and the US, and harmed human health and crops in China, where the problem still exists. Looking back today, there is little argument that the cause was sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides emitted by fossil fuel combustion, by cars and industrial facilities like smelters and coal burning utilities. When combined with water and oxygen in the atmosphere, these air pollutants chemically transform into sulfuric and nitric acid. Acidic droplets in clouds. Beep.
That's the listening. Let's move on to our third step. So, third step is obviously to consider your response options. Have a look at what notes you've taken down mentally, compare them to the answers, think about which work and don't work, both in context and grammatically. So pause the video, select your correct answer. Remember, you have about 30 to 60 seconds after listening is done to pick your answer. Once you've chosen it, because you've assessed those previous things, just see then if you can decide on your answer, and then we'll move forward into our analysis. All right, so our answer for this is answer C. Then fall as rain, snow, or hail. Let's read that sentence in context with the previous sentence half. Acidic droplets in clouds then fall as rain, snow, or hail. So that works grammatically. Everything joins on very, very nicely. It also works great in context because the recording is discussing the process in which acid rain falls. If you read the previous recording transcript sentences back, you will see that it's actually talking about the process of acid rain. When combined with oxygen in the atmosphere, these air pollutants chemically transform into sulfuric and nitric acid. Acidic droplets in clouds then fall as rain, snow, or hail. So it works well on the previous listening parts. You can see that it joins on nicely, and therefore we got the wider context, making our answer suitable. Let's have a look about why answer A does not work. Even though answer A does work grammatically, for example, acidic droplets in clouds will become a nuisance in the future, it does not work in context. Think about it. We have our key word here, which is future. It will become a nuisance in the future, but surely the recording was talking about how acidic rain has been a problem in the past and is a problem in the present. So if it's not already a problem, then why is it a problem in the future? There's no understanding because it is a problem now, and therefore that takes away that as a possible answer because it doesn't work well in the context. Acid rain is a problem now, not just in the future. How about answer B? How does it not work? Well, it does work grammatically. Acidic droplets in clouds therefore create the damaging rain. It might work well in terms of the grammar, but there's awkward phrasing. Acidic droplets in clouds therefore create the damaging rain. It just doesn't sound right. Why is there an article there? Why are we saying the damaging rain? You don't need to have an article there. And if we compare that to obviously to our other answer in C, which as after all both answers are talking about the process, then if we compare it to C, then C just makes more sense when talking about a process. It's more specific. This one's a bit more awkward and a bit more vague, so it doesn't work directly in comparison. And also, why is the article there? What about answer D? Well, it just simply does not work grammatically. Acidic droplets in clouds produce toxic precipitations. What is the grammatical error in this sentence? You've got it. Precipitation should not be countable in this case. Acidic droplets in clouds produce toxic precipitation. Uncountable noun, the fact that the S is there is a grammatical issue, therefore removing that as a potential answer. Even though it does work well in context, the grammar simply does not work. All right, well, I really hope you managed to get that second answer prompt correct. We're now going to move on to our third task prompt, and this one is going to be treated like a real PTE test exercise. So I'm going to go through this like it is in the real PTE examination, going through the steps one by one. There's going to be no interaction from me. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Hopefully you're going to be able to use these steps now in the video. If not, then please revise them before you continue with the video, because it's going to be a real prompt in which we're going to go through it in about 2 minutes like you would have in the real PTE examination. So let's start by having a look at the question. You have 7 seconds to do your stuff about the question. Please analyze that and the answers. And that's about 7 seconds. Now I'm going to play the listening recording. Good luck in the prompt.
It is reported that in the Arctic the ice caps are melting, the tree line is shifting northwards, and starving polar bears now wander into cities. The region is warming twice as fast as the rest of the planet due to climate change, largely to changes in albedo, which is the loss of sunlight reflecting ice and snow, replaced by sunlight absorbing ocean and soil. This is driving a dangerous positive feedback cycle where heating spirals into more heating. Now, to add to that, the Arctic is beginning to burn. Fires have ranged in the boreal forests of Greenland, Alaska, and Canada, and in Siberia, huge fires burned for months. Beep.
That's the listening. Now you have approximately 1 minute to give your answer. Please pause the video, spend 30 to 60 seconds giving your answer, choose your answer, think about why it works and why the others don't work before we move on to our analysis. All right, let's move on now to our analysis. So the answer for this prompt is D, creating enormous clouds of soot and ash. Why does D work? Well, let's have a look. First of all, I want you to analyze the transcript answer options. Have a look through the transcript in your own time now and correlate that with the four answers. See if you can find your own reasons for why D is correct and why the others are incorrect. It's obviously a good reason, it's a good thing for me to tell you why the answer works and doesn't work, which I'm going to do very soon. But I want you obviously to get to the point where you're very comfortable with your own analysis, understanding why things work contextually and don't work grammatically, etc., etc. So please have a look in your own time. Once you've decided about why D works and why A, B, and C don't work, we'll then get into the analysis of the question. All right, so D just simply works both grammatically and contextually. Let's read it in part of the wider prompt. And in Siberia, huge fires burned for months, creating enormous clouds of soot and ash. So the main context of this listening prompt work was climate change in Arctic, and obviously the Arctic is talking about the fire. More heat is creating more fire, and these fires are getting larger. They're burning for months. And what does fire do? Well, it creates enormous clouds of soot and ash. We're talking about climate change. What is the key proponent of climate change? Well, of course, it is the harmful chemicals and compounds that are going into the sky, and obviously that's being created by the smoke, the soot, and the ash. So it works grammatically and it works both contextually. What about A, B, and C? Well, A simply does not work because it does not work grammatically. If we say the sentence, let's see. In Siberia, huge fires burned for months before they were finally extinguished. Extinguish? We're talking about the past, so why is the verb extinguish in the present simple form? We need to add on ed for our past simple form for that to make sense. Therefore, the grammar is wrong and eliminating that as a potential answer. B also does not work grammatically. In Siberia, huge fires burned for months, producing much smoke and ash which spread everywhere. What's the issue? Well, it's our quantifier much. We cannot use much with a singular noun. We need to use a lot of because it precedes smoke, producing a lot of smoke and ash which spread elsewhere. Everywhere. So it does not work grammatically for that reason. Also, C does not work grammatically either. So in Siberia, huge fires burned for months, destroy large areas of forest. We cannot use the simple form of the verb here. We need to use the gerund form, destroying large areas of forest. Therefore, removing that as a potential answer. So B, C, A, B, and C don't work grammatically. D does work grammatically, and that is the key indicator about why that is the correct answer, because it also works contextually. All right, I really hope that you enjoyed doing this video today, and I hope that you managed to get all three of the prompts correct. Let's now engage in some reflection and feedback before we finish our video today. So, were you able to use these strategies? Which one was the most difficult to apply, and which one do you think was the most useful? Well, I hope that you found these strategies quite useful, and obviously that you found them all very easy. If you found it easy, why do you think you found it easy? Keep up the good work. Which one was difficult to apply? Maybe it was obviously using your 7 seconds to analyze the questions. Maybe you're not too speedy with that. Maybe it was during the listening you find it difficult to memorize and take a mental note of the key details and ideas. Or maybe it's just spending your time at the very end finding out contextual clues or also indicating grammatical inaccuracies. So think about your strengths, keep those up, and think about your weaknesses. What can you do in your own time to improve upon them? Well, just simply practice, practice, practice. Try and go through these 3 steps that we did today in your own PTE practice, hopefully emphasizing your strengths while improving upon your weaknesses to get you up to standard, to get that score you want in the PTE exam. So thank you so much for watching today. Once again, I hope you got so much out of this video and you will use it going forward in your PTE preparation. So once again, thanks a lot and see you again through Swish series of video lessons on the PTE exam. Take care. Bye bye.